Hi Sag, my name is Audrey Alison. Thank you for joining me for your October 2016 forecast for the month. It's a beautiful day out here, and thank you for subscribing to my channel and for your likes on my Facebook page, Audrey Alison Astrology and Tarot, and for following me on Instagram at Summer Jemmy. I know that it's a personal page, but if you're into that, I throw in some astrology there. If not, it's cool. I am using this alchemical deck by Robert M. Place, my steadfast deck, my go-to deck in readings. So if you book with me, I will be using this. And let's start the month. We do have a lot of square activity this month that I mentioned in my September video that I'll get to. So the first transit on the 7th of October is Mercury entering the sign of Libra, where he is meeting up with the Sun and Jupiter. So there is expansive energy in your 11th house of partnerships, social connections and goals and wishes. The 11th house of clubs and groups and organizations that you're affiliated with, and your friendships, communication with friends, expansive social sector. You are definitely loving this, Sagittarius, because you love a social life, and there's a lot of faith and optimism with who you're hanging out with, where you're really believing in the crew that's surrounding you, whether that's the clubs you're in or just the friendships that you're surrounding. But you could hear a lot from people that you haven't in a while when Mercury enters the 11th. Not so much from real long ago, because that's when a retrograde happens there, but just, friends that are current that have kind of fallen off a little bit in the retrograde. Mercury's going to make up for some lost time here, transiting just 17 days later, and that's what happens after the retrograde. He starts speeding up. Hermes the messenger is just like a lightning bolt with wings at his feet. So on the 16th, we have our full moon at 23 degrees of Aries. You like this. This is a fire sign trine to you in the 5th house of children. There's an awareness, a culmination in the 5th house. Maybe some of you Sagittarians will be giving birth around mid-October if you're pregnant. Clearly, you wouldn't just give birth if you weren't pregnant in October. But, with the emails and messages that I've been getting, it's like I have to explain every single thing, because if it doesn't make a verbiage, every single word doesn't make sense, it's like I get inundated with personal emails. But a full moon in the 5th house could also see an end at an attempt of trying to conceive, actually. Or maybe your kids are leaving the home at this time. They're going to college, or they're moving. Or there's an end to a creative endeavor, taking kids out of the 5th house mix. There's a lot of definitions for the 5th house. It's independent work, entrepreneurial energy, creative endeavors, creative projects. It's also the house of true love and romance. But I don't want to be a doomsday predictor, but I hate the fact that people would end their relationship, but some of you might be tired of that. Full moon in the 5th could see not a marriage. This would be someone you're dating. 5th house is romance, lighthearted energy. It's not a strong commitment, but it's someone you're excited about. You might be over it. You might be feeling like, all right, next, on to the next. There's an awareness here, though, so it might just come to play around mid-October for you. Now, on the 18th, you like this news. Venus will enter your sign, which is making every Sag look sexier than ever, and that's hard to do because Sagittarians are very sexy as it is. But Venus entering your 1st house of self conjunct Saturn, you're probably been going through some diet or limiting regimen or routine of the self, of the body, and that's what Saturn does. In a Saturn return, it's some restriction and what it is you really think you need. And Venus here now, though, is a smoothing over of this aesthetic, so all of the hard work that Sag has put into the body and not put into the mouth, limiting in the diet, will show all of the hard work that you've done with Venus there. And you might go through a beautifying, get the skin clear, get the hair cut, get everything together, get the new makeup for the ladies or for the men, whatever you're into, no judgment. So this is just a good, this is an uplifting energy for Sagittarians from the 18th into next month, into mid-November. Now on the 22nd of October through the end of the month, all of our Scorpio energy is ignited. So on the 22nd, when the Sun enters Scorpio, and 2 days later on the 24th, when Mercury enters Scorpio, and then on October 30th, 6 days after that, we have our new moon at 7 degrees of Scorpio. All of this activates your 12th house of quiet, rest, Sagittarius. Scorpio is a sign just before you, so I don't mind any of this energy. You need that space. You need that calm. It's the house of release, the house before your solar return. So rest, peace, the house of the undoing. What are you letting go of? Set your intentions on how you can remain calm, what you can incorporate into your life to deduce any stress or anxieties. Mercury is there, so investigating or receiving information regarding maybe addiction. And I hate to bring that up because everyone kind of cringes, but vice and addiction can be a plethora of things, from food to gambling to drugs and alcohol, but it could also be just a behavioral pattern that is your default pattern that is on repeat. You do anything 3 times, it's a habit. So maybe you need to adjust your settings, adjust your default program, Sagittarius, and that way you'll be fully prepared. Saturn in your first house might see that you actually do that. Very limiting energy, but this is peaceful. This is a peaceful sector for you for the last week of October, last 8 9 days of October, and halfway through November. So I like the 12th house of rest. Now throughout the whole month, we have a lot of squares, like I was saying, a lot of tension. And the one that is most notable right now for me is the fact that Mars will be conjunct Pluto, sitting on top of Pluto in Capricorn at an exact conjunction on the 12th of October, squaring Uranus in Aries, which is very tumultuous energy. Mars is fire and anger and aggression, and Pluto is deconstruction and death and loss. Squaring Uranus, which is abrupt upheaval. Globally, this is not good for natural disasters and maybe even what we have coming up in the Northern Hemisphere in the States in our political situation. Because the dates run through the 4th of November. Mars and Pluto won't be at 9 degrees of separation in their conjunction until the 4th of November. So that's at the point where the energy is not as strong and it's considered dissipated. But I'm putting it out there because I just don't like it, and I can't let that go without mentioning that in the forecast. And I mentioned in a few other videos that it's earth-breaking or ground-breaking, earth-shaking energy. So I'm feeling like, volcanic eruptions, maybe some earthquake energy, and whatever's happening with our government here could be a little weird. For you personally, Sag, this is impacting your 2nd house of money, where Capricorn is governing, and the 5th house of creative endeavors and creative earnings, where you have Uranus and Aries. Let's get to your cards and see what's coming up for Sagittarius. And if you'd like to read with me, I'm at audreyalison.com. You can select your desired reading length, and that's via the PayPal button, and I will get back to you in an email with some dates, and we can set it up. Your first card, the Devil. This is restriction. This is Saturn in your 1st house. This is actually definitely Saturn, because I said this in another reading, but I'll say it again. The word Satan is derived from the word Saturn, and this card is governed by Saturn, Capricorn. And Saturn is in your 1st house of Sagittarius. This is about limitations. What is restricting you? What is repressing you? What are you addicted to? What is your vice? Three of Swords. I don't like this either. This is, some sadness. Some of you, Sagittarians, have been experiencing heartache and some sadness or even loss. Maybe you've experienced a death in the family and you're mourning. You're healing. The Money Tree, more positive than the first two cards, but this is about prosperity, health, and well-being. Maintaining what is still keeping you healthy, what is keeping you secure throughout these times. There's still more cards here. Wow. Okay. Sag, some of you have just really been feeling it, and I'm sorry to pull such deep cards right now, but the Ten of Swords is definitely feeling that loss. So some of you have experienced heartache and you're trying to recover from that. And here's the King of Swords. So maybe it's time for you to get that attorney, or there's an air sign male that this is referring to, a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. Or if you're fighting a divorce, you need to have that representation. Or even hiring a private investigator with this card is what I'm thinking. Or getting the authorities involved if this is a situation where you feel you are at risk. This is also a man that can help you. And he has excellent advice for you. So for some of you Sagittarians who are dealing with maybe the process of separation, maybe the loss is just that itself, the loss of a relationship. You have either an attorney or an air sign friend who has a lot of wisdom for you in this area, and he could share this with you. I hope this was helpful for you. Turn to your work in order to prosper. Turn to the development and the blooming of your security, financial security, your property. And if it feels too limiting right now, that's just the timeline. It's just divine timing. You're in your Saturn return, and he'll be there through the end of 2017. But then when he leaves, he won't visit here for 30 years. So he's just doing some restructuring, so if you feel limited or stuck, bear with it for a little while. You have transits that could smooth that over for you. Thank you so much, Sag. I hope this was helpful. I'm wishing you a sweet day, and remember, the sky is limitless, so reach for the stars.